The Dark Truth of Aswang. A shocking true story from the remote woods. In the heart of the Philippine wilderness, where shadows twist and stretch into unnatural shapes, a legend lurks, a blood-curdling tale that has kept villagers awake at night for generations. The Aswang. It isn't just folklore. It's a chilling reality that haunts those who dare to tread into its territory. Imagine a creature that could blend in among humans during the day, but when twilight falls transforms into a ghastly form, its hunger driving it to terrorize unsuspecting souls. Stories tell of a woman beautiful and fair, her laughter echoing through the trees, but beware, she is a predator. Her true form is sinister, fangs dripping with the blood of the innocent, and the dense humid air. The whispers of the forest hold secrets, like the howls of wild animals that seem to echo a warning. The eeriness wraps around you, enveloping your senses, tightening your chest as if the land itself knows of the creature's presence. And the villagers? Oh, they are not mere guards against the night. They are haunted by their past, too many tales of loved ones snatched into the darkness, leaving only silence in their wake. They gather in homes, windows shut tight, hearts racing with every rustle of the leaves. As night falls, the hush of the forest is broken only by sporadic screams, unearthly, chilling. The stories speak of a little girl who went missing and the panic that ensued, her mother searching frantically among the trees, calling her name until her throat was raw. She never returned. Yet, the unsettling feeling in the air still lags, like a thick mist that refuses to dissipate under the moonlight. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Something dark watches. The villagers speak in trembling voices, recounting the night of the full moon when the ground quaked, and something sinister stirred. Feet running, shadows darting, screams piercing the air. It's within those woods that the Aswang awaits, lurking, watching, its gleaming eyes hungry for the next thrill. What if it wasn't just a story? What if it still roamed? Would you dare to walk alone beneath the canopy of whispered tales? Are you brave enough to uncover the truth as it creeps closer, inch by terrifying inch? The moon hung low, casting a pallid glow over the forest, turning the trees into looming giants. Marco stood at the edge of the village, his heart pounding in his chest. He had heard the stories, felt the trepidation that seeped into the very earth beneath his feet. Yet something deeper tugged at him, a fierce need to confront the fear that gripped everyone else. He glanced back at the villagers clustered in the dim light of their homes, eyes wide, breathing shallow. Each window shuttered tight, as if sealing out more than just the night. But Marco couldn't shake the feeling that someone needed to venture into those dark woods. Who better than him? With each step, the underbrush crunched beneath his feet, a stark reminder of the many who had come before and never returned. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. Trees closed in around him, their gnarled branches twisting into grotesque shapes. He felt the chill creep down his spine, urging him to turn back. But his resolve hardened. Tonight he would find the truth. His lantern flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced along the trunks like phantoms. He moved deeper, the flashlight revealing twisted roots and whispering leaves. Each rustle amplified the echoes of his heartbeat. Every gust of wind seemed to carry the whispers of the Aswang herself. Was this foolishness or bravery? Maybe a bit of both. Suddenly he froze. A rustling sound pierced the night. His heart raced as he scanned the surroundings. Was it just a stray animal? Or was it something much darker? The rustling grew louder, more frantic, followed by a soft, pitiful cry that sent chills through his bones. It was the unmistakable wail of a child. "Hello?" he called out, his voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" Only silence answered, thick and imprisoning. But he couldn't leave. His empathy propelled him forward, guided by that haunting sound. He stumbled through the underbrush, each step mingling with the chorus of his fear. And then he saw her, a small figure huddled against a tree, her skin pale like the moonlight above. The girl, no older than 7, looked up at him with wide, glassy eyes. "Help me," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. Marco rushed over, fear and hope colliding within him. "Where are your parents?" he asked, kneeling beside her. But before she could answer, another sound crashed through the forest. It was guttural, low, and relentless, the unmistakable growl of something monstrous. The girl's eyes went wide with terror as she scrambled backward, pressing her little body against the tree as if trying to meld into it. No. She'll come for me." "Who will?" Marco asked, the primal instinct of self-preservation urging him to flee. But something in her gaze held him captive. He couldn't leave her behind. Out a breeze swept through the trees, rustling the leaves ominously, and then he heard it, a voice beautiful and enchanting, calling sweetly from deep within the woods. "Come to me, come play." It was irresistible. Marco felt his feet move against his will, drawn toward the insidious sound. He shook his head, willing himself to resist, but it pulled at him stronger, more demanding. The girl grabbed his arm, panic racking her slight frame. "Don't listen. It's the Aswang." Suddenly everything around them went still. The air thickened like a heavy curtain, and a shadow loomed. Marco's resolve splintered as he spun around, heart racing. The very essence of fear clawed at him as he caught sight of something monstrous advancing through the trees. "Run!" the girl screamed, and before he could think, they dashed into the maze of shadows. Panic fueled their every step. Would they make it back to the safety of the village? As they plunged deeper into the darkness, Marco felt its presence following, hungry, relentless. The tales whispered true. But who was this girl? And how had she captivated the Aswang's attention? With looming threats ahead and behind, Marco now realized he had to unravel the mystery of the Aswang or fall victim to the terror that had claimed so many before him. What will happen next? In the heart of the Aswang's hunting ground, the true battle for survival is only just beginning. Branches snapped violently as Marco and the girl sprinted through the underbrush. Fear coursed through him, a hot flame igniting his veins. He could feel the pulse of the forest, a living, breathing entity filled with malevolent intent. Every shadow seemed to pulse, waiting for them to falter. "Where do we go?" he gasped, desperately searching for a way out, his lantern straining to cut through the blackness. The girl, still clinging to him, looked back with a horrified expression. "We have to find the tree," she cried, her voice trembling, urgency clinging to each word. "It's south, the only place she can't go." The very mention of she sent a jolt through Marco. He couldn't shake the image of the twisted form that lurked just beyond their sight. He didn't know what kind of horror awaited them, but it was closing in a suffocating darkness, echoing with promises of despair. "What tree?" he shouted over the crunching leaves and snapping twigs, his lungs burning. "Just keep running." With a wild, desperate determination, Marco pushed forward, his heartbeat thundering in his ears. They weaved through the maze of trees, branches slicing at them like clawed fingers. The air grew thick and heavy. He could hear the growl gaining ground behind them, low and menacing, as if hunting them with deliberate purpose. Suddenly, a faint glow illuminated their path, flickering like a distant star fighting against a storm. "There!" Marco yelled, spotting what looked like a massive tree ahead. Its bark twisted and gnarled. A warmth radiated from it, like welcoming arms in a world of despair. As they barreled towards it, Marco didn't notice the roots that lay in wait. With a slick of dismay, his foot caught, sending him plummeting to the ground. He cried out, instinctively reaching for the girl. She stumbled, her tiny frame nearly losing its balance, but she managed to keep her footing. "Marco!" Her voice was frantic, but the urgency of the growl behind them propelled him to his feet. He scrambled to catch up, his breath ragged. The monstrous sound warped into something else, screams melded with laughter, twisting Marco's very soul. With every passing moment, the essence of the Aswang hovered closer, feeding on their fear. He risked a glance back. The horrifying silhouette was almost upon them, the full moon outlining its elongated limbs, a spine-chilling mockery of human form. "Come on!" he shouted, urgency spilling from his lips as they reached the base of the ancient tree. "Here! Underneath!" the girl yelled, darting toward a hollow at the tree's trunk. Marco dropped to his knees and pulled her inside, the darkness swallowing them whole, isolating them from the terror outside. The hollow was cramped, smothered in roots and foliage, but surprisingly warm. They huddled together as Marco held his breath, straining to listen. Outside, the growl transformed into a mocking melody, weaving notes of delight with bites of dread. He could feel the vibrations of something passing by, inches from where they hid, searching. He couldn't help but feel the icy grip of hopelessness creep in. In moments, would the creature find them? How long could they stay hidden? Panic began to settle in the pit of his stomach. "Marco," the girl whispered, her voice trembling. He turned to face her. If it gets you, you need to promise me something." "What?" he asked, his heart thumping incessantly. "Promise you'll fight." Before he could assure her, the Aswang's voice drifted through the air again, now closer than before. "Come out, little ones, I only want to play." The girl shuddered beside him, her small body trembling with fear. But what if her words held truth? What if the Aswang's malicious intent was more than just a hunt? As the darkness pressed in and fear threatened to swallow them, Marco understood they were not just hiding from a monster. They were about to confront the unimaginable truths of their fears, truths that would either save them or doom them to an eternity of terror. What was the secret of this tree? And could it really keep them safe from the Aswang, or was it just a moment of false hope? Only time would tell. The hollow was tight, and Marco could feel the pulse of the tree beneath him, strong and steady like a heartbeat. The warmth wrapped around them like a blanket against the encroaching cold. But the sound outside was worse than he feared, a sinister harmony of whispers and laughter, the Aswang's taunting voice dancing on the nighttime air. "Marco!" the girl hissed, her face pale beneath the lantern's flickering light. "It's getting closer." He shushed her, pressing his fingers to his lips to silence both their panicked breaths. He felt the bark under his palm, rough and alive, as if the tree itself was holding them in a protective embrace. But it seemed futile. In the depths of his heart, an unsettling doubt clawed at him. "What if it finds us here?" she whispered, her eyes wide, glimmering with fear and a flicker of something darker. "What if it knows?" Marco swallowed hard. "I don't think it can enter. The tree, it has to protect itself. But it can't last forever. Could it keep them safe, or was that just a feeble hope?" The shadows around them watched, waiting for their moment to strike. A sudden crash echoed through the woods, and Marco felt the ground tremble beneath them. The Aswang was no longer far off. It was crashing through the branches, hunting with renewed savagery. "Stay quiet," he urged, inching closer to the girl. With their breaths mingling in the thick air, the beat of his heart echoed painfully loud. He could feel her trembling, each quiver vibrating through him. "What will we do?" she asked, her voice a mere whisper above the noise. Suddenly, the familiar wretched tone twisted around them. "I can smell you, little ones, I can taste your fear." The Aswang was circling, deliberately torturing them. Marco felt the blood run cold in his veins. He bit back tears, locking eyes with the girl. "We need to be brave," he said, but as he spoke, the words felt hollow, the weight of them suffocating. The darkness outside deepened, swallowing whatever little light the moon had shed. Then came a whisper close enough to make his skin crawl. "Come out, I won't hurt you." "Not if you let me in." A burst of panic surged through Marco. How could it speak? How could it pretend to be anything but a monster? With every attempt to soothe, it only summoned more terror. His mind raced. If they stayed hidden, would the Aswang lose interest? Or would it grow even more sinister, feeding off their dread until they cracked? "Marco, we have to get out," the girl pleaded lightly, urgency pushing against fear. "If we don't, it'll find us. I can feel it." The Aswang began to laugh, a cruel, rasping cackle full of malice. Marco felt the stranglehold of fear wrap tighter around his chest. But what lay outside was worse than what they faced in the hollow. They had to move. "No, listen," he said, straightening himself. "We can't give in. We can't let it win. If we confront it together." "But Marco," she started, but he cut her off. "It's our only choice. We need to embrace this, whatever this is, and show it we won't be afraid." Heart racing, he took a deep breath, adrenaline coursing through him. The plan was reckless, but what choice did they really have? Outside, the Aswang grew restless, sensing something stirring within its prey. "On three," Marco said, gripping the girl's hand tightly. 1, 2, 3. They burst from the hollow, ready to face the night head-on. But nothing could prepare them for the sight that greeted them. Before them stood the grotesque figure of the Aswang, its eyes glimmering with an unholy light, its mouth twisted into a smile that held no warmth. And then just like that, it vanished. The darkness opened like a maw, swallowing the creature whole, leaving nothing behind but an echo of its laughter, now distant. Where had it gone? Marco, what just happened? The girl trembled, looking around at the strange forest that seemed alive with energy. He didn't have an answer, only a sinking dread that something much worse was coming. The forest whispered secrets, and Marco could feel a pull beneath his skin. The tree held more than just refuge. What truth lay hidden within its ancient roots? Why did it seem to flicker with a mind of its own? As the laughter faded, a twisted reality began to settle in. They weren't just fighting for their lives, they were part of a much darker story. One that entwined their fates with the Aswang's terrible truth. Were they mere prey or something more? Only the darkness had answers, and it was growing closer once again. A frozen silence hung in the air as Marco and the girl stood in the clearing, their breaths catching in their throats. The moonlight fractured through the branches above, casting ghostly shadows that danced around them. Each pulse of silence felt heavier, as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something terrible to unfold. Did it really just disappear? She whispered, her voice trembling. Marco shook his head, trying to shake off the uncanny feeling swirling in his gut. It has to be a trick. It wouldn't just leave us like this. It's south still close. He scanned the darkness, his heartbeat thumping like a war drum, rhythmically reminding him of the threat lurking in the night. Suddenly the shadows shifted. A rustle like dry leaves sounded from the underbrush, sending spikes of terror racing up his spine. Get behind me, he hissed as he pushed the girl back a step. He was desperate now, ready to face whatever horror awaited them. The Aswang had left them in suspense, but it was impossible to think that it was just gone. Is that you? A voice purred, smooth and mocking, reverberating through the trees. Such brave little ones. So very brave. It was a honeyed tone laced with a razor's edge, the Aswang's laughter echoing through the woods once more. The sound twisted sickly in Marco's ears, wrapping around him like a noose. The trees seemed to lean in, as if they could hear the monster's whispers. Marco tightened his grip on his flashlight, heart thumping fast and wild. Each pulse felt like a countdown. Show yourself, he shouted, his voice breaking. He could almost feel the forest leaning in, judging him. You coward. From the shadows of the trees, pale forms began to emerge. The Aswang's silhouette flickered in and out, its body a grotesque melange of monstrous features, sharp claws, a spine that gave way to sinewy wings, and glowing eyes that pierced the darkness like daggers. No need for such bravado, it taunted. Just a little taste and you'll forget the fear. Marco's stomach twisted painfully. If he could keep it talking, maybe he could distract it, buy them time or give them a chance to escape. What do you want from us? He demanded, forcing himself to shift his stance, wanting to appear defiant. Want? Oh dear boy, the Aswang glided closer, its form shifting sinisterly. I don't want anything but to help you awaken your true potential. You're special just like me. Special? The girl echoed, her voice a mix of anger and confusion. Marco glanced at her, feeling the heat of her fear radiating as strongly as the cold between them. Exactly. The Aswang continued, its mouth curling into a smile that promised unspeakable horror. You think running from me will save you? You're linked to this forest just as I am. What do you mean? Marco asked, taking a deep breath, forcing the words out despite the pounding in his head. The Aswang's laughter came like a ripple through water. The tree, it protects you, yes. But it is also your leash. You, little Marco, are connected to it in ways you do not understand. Time slowed. A realization dawned on Marco, one that transformed his blood into ice. What connection? His voice was barely a whisper. You'll learn soon enough, it hissed, then turned to the girl. And you, sweet girl, are merely the bait. Temporal and fleeting. But he is of this forest. No, Marco shouted, stepping forward, heart racing. His breath burned as he faced this horror. You can't have her. The Aswang let out a low growl, the sound reverberating through the trees with malevolence. You'd be surprised what I can take. Light flickered behind him, suddenly blinking in and out like a dying star. Marco's heart sank. Run, he commanded, pushing the girl to move. They dashed in the opposite direction, branches snapping underfoot as the Aswang's mocking laughter pursued them, blending with the hoots of owls and the rustling leaves. Had they truly escaped, or were they running straight into a trap? The forest around them morphed, dark tendrils of shadow twisting and turning, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. Marco felt the pull becoming stronger. The forest itself was trapping them. What fate awaited them within this tangled web of darkness? And why did the Aswang seem to know more about Marco than he did himself? Branches clawed at Marco's arms like desperate fingers as they ran deeper into the woods. The ground beneath them felt alive, shifting and heaving, as if it shared a pulse with the Aswang. The mocking laughter echoed behind, a twisted lullaby burrowing deep into Marco's mind, clawing at the edges of his sanity. Panic surged in his veins. "This way!" he shouted, skirting around a colossal oak that stood like a sentry guarding the secrets of the forest. The moonlight above danced fitfully, casting erratic patterns that distorted reality. He had to keep moving, had to find a way out, but with each step, the shadows seemed to close in tighter, suffocating the air between them. The girl stumbled, falling to her knees. "Marco, please. I can't run anymore." Her voice cracked, a fragile thread unraveling in the chilling night. He turned, desperation washing over him. They were losing time. "Get up. You have to," but he couldn't finish. Footsteps approached, heavy and deliberate, crunching leaves like bone. Then, just ahead, the ground dropped into a small ravine, nothing but darkened soil and jagged rocks. Marco's heart raced. He grabbed the girl's hand, pulling her close. "We can hide down there." The girl looked into the abyss beneath them, eyes wide with fear. "What if it finds us? Better than letting it catch us out here." He dragged her closer, forcing her to the edge. "Trust me." With a sharp breath they jumped, tumbling into the darkness below. A cloud of dirt and debris kicked up around them, muffling their cries. They landed hard but rolled into a shallow nook, a sort of natural crevice that could shield them from prying eyes above. Breathless, Marco held her hand tightly, feeling the tremors running through her. "We have to stay quiet," he whispered, his throat dry and parched. The laughter faded momentarily, replaced by the sound of rustling leaves and the distant hoot of an owl, which now felt like a mocking call of doom from their hiding spot. Marco caught his breath, listening, straining for any sign of the Aswang returning. "Why does it want you?" he questioned, turning his eyes to her, desperate for answers. "I don't know," she replied, her voice trembling, tears glistening in the dark. "But it said I was bait for you." The revelation struck him like a physical blow. "Bait? But why would it need me?" Confusion swirled with dread. He felt that connection that was unknowable and suffocating. From above, movement drew closer. The voice returned, this time a low rumble that thrummed with sinister energy. "You think a little darkness can hide you? The forest knows where you are." Marco swallowed hard, clenching his teeth. "It's playing with us," he hissed. "Trying to draw us out." The girl shivered, clutching his arm like a lifeline. "What does it mean about your potential?" Before Marco could answer, shadows swirled overhead. "Leave the girl and embrace your destiny." The Aswang's voice dripped with temptation and malice. "You belong to this forest, Marco, just like the tree." A sick feeling churned in Marco's stomach. Part of him felt drawn to it like a moth to flame, while another part screamed to fight it. He needed to push back against whatever lure held his spirit captive. "Stay here," he ordered her, his voice steady even as it trembled. "I'll distract it. Whatever happens, don't leave this spot." Pushing himself against the wall of the crevice, he took a deep breath, beating down the fear. If the forest was his prison, maybe he could turn the tables. Just as he prepared to make his move, a low growl echoed through the night. It vibrated in his bones, pulling the shadows taut around him. The darkness was coming, hungry for answers. What would Marco discover about that connection? And would he be able to escape it before it consumed everything he held dear? Marco's fingers gripped the gritty edge of the crevice, his heart beating against his ribs like a caged animal. The whispered promises of the Aswang slithered through the air, laced with danger and a haunting allure that tugged at his very essence. He couldn't let it win. Taking a chance, he cast a glance back at the girl crouching behind him, fear tightening her features. "Listen," he said, urgency in his tone, "I'm going to make some noise. Just stay hidden, okay?" Her eyes widened. "Marco, don't. It'll take you. You don't understand. It already wants me." but it can't have me or you. With that, he propelled himself further into the darkness, a reckless plan igniting in his mind. He needed to draw the creature's attention, divert its craving for whatever fate it had in store for him. As he crept into the shadows, the growling intensified, vibrating through his bones. "Show yourself," Marco shouted, the words bursting forth like a challenge. Silence fell for a heartbeat before the laughter erupted again, a cruel echo that chilled him. "Ah, brave little Marco," the Aswang sneered. "You think you can defy your nature? Come out, I have something intriguing for you." A sharp rustle of leaves met his ears, a rush of breath as if the forest itself inhaled sharply. The Aswang was toying with him, and he was already in its grasp. He pressed himself against a tree trunk, heart slamming in his chest, while his wild mind raced through possibilities. Could he confuse it? Would that buy them time? With a sudden burst of instinct, Marco threw a jagged rock away from him, sending it crashing through the underbrush. The Aswang's growl morphed into a furious snarl as it pivoted, searching for the new source of sound. Taking advantage of the distraction, Marco dashed back toward the crevice, praying the girl hadn't moved. But she was gone. A cold dread washed over him, paralyzing him for a breathless moment. "No," he gasped, scanning the darkness, but she had vanished, and with her, any hope of salvation. "Don't bother searching for her," the Aswang taunted, its voice dripping with mockery. "She is a mere shadow now. You, however, have potential I intend to unearth." "Why? What do you want from me?" Marco shouted, rage bubbling beneath his fear. "Your lineage, dear boy," the voice cooed. "You belong to these woods. The blood of those who once ruled these lands runs through your veins. You are tied to the forest, as are all who have lost their way here. It's time to embrace what you are." The thick air around him felt charged, alive and insatiable. Images flooded his mind, snapshots of a lineage twisted in darkness, a legacy he had never known, yet somehow sensed. "No!" he shouted again, the word flinging itself into the night as defiance surged through him. As if sensing his resolve, the Aswang howled in fury, and the ground trembled. "You cannot escape your destiny, Marco." Suddenly, a flash of movement caught his eye from the corner of the ravine. The girl. She emerged, but something was different. There was a strange light in her eyes, a hint of darkness stirring beneath her skin. Marco's breath hitched as he rushed forward, calling her name. "Don't go to it," he pleaded, desperation clawing at him. She faltered, as if hearing his voice broke through a veil. "Marco, I can feel it calling. It wants us both." The Aswang chuckled, satisfied. "You see, dear boy? Embrace the forest, and it will embrace you in return." Marco's stomach dropped. The choice lay before him like a gaping chasm between their fates: fight the call of the Aswang, or risk losing what was left of his humanity. But what lay ahead? What truth would he uncover about his bloodline? And would he be strong enough to resist the siren call of darkness before it consumed them both? He had to act, but how? The shadows loomed, deepening around them, and the forest seemed impatient. Marco's heart hammered wildly as he closed the distance between himself and the girl. The darkness hung thick, almost suffocating, but the blazing urgency he felt pushed him forward. "We need to get away from here," he yelled, trying to break through whatever fog had clouded her mind. Her gaze, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now sparkled with an unnerving allure. "Marco, don't you see?" she whispered, almost entranced. "The Aswang is offering us power, a chance to be more than we are." "No," he shouted, his voice echoing through the night like a lifeline. "It's deceiving you. You have to fight it." But as he studied her, he couldn't shake the feeling that she was already slipping away from him. The girl's skin glimmered under the soft light of the moon, giving her an otherworldly glow, yet a sense of foreboding hung around her like a shroud. The Aswang's laughter sliced through the tension, low and mocking. "You're too late, Marco." Feel how her blood thrums with the ancient rhythms of the forest. Each pulse a step deeper into our world. The urgency within him mounted, pulling at his limbs. He felt trapped, between his own frantic emotions and the seductive whispers that echoed all around them. The ground beneath him felt alive, thrumming with a macabre energy that threatened to consume him whole. "Please fight it." Marco's voice trembled, desperation infecting his words. "You don't belong to it. You're stronger than this." She hesitated, her brow furrowing as if a flicker of awareness had sparked amidst the darkness. For a moment, he saw her, the girl he knew before the allure transformed her again into something unrecognizable. Marco, her voice weakened, uncertainty creeping in. The darkness I can't resist, tears glistened in her eyes, and for a moment, the grip of the Aswang seemed to falter. The ground around them trembled again, shaking with the creature's rage. Enough! It roared. She belongs to me now. You will not ruin what I have arranged. Marco, didn't he know what to do? Should he abandon her and save himself? The mere thought sent icy waves of guilt crashing over him. No, I won't leave you. Suddenly, without warning, the air thickened as shadows coalesced around the girl, wrapping tightly like chains. Her expression turned desperate. Marco, please. You have to run. It's stronger than you think. Not without you. His cry was raw, and the forest seemed to recoil at his determination. An idea sparked a wild, recklessly defiant notion. If he could attract the Aswang's full attention, maybe, just maybe, it would loosen its hold on her. Gripping a nearby branch, Marco raised it like a sword. I will not let you take her. Face me. The Aswang's laughter turned ominous, echoing in the dark woods. Foolish boy. You believe you can stand against the tide of your birthright? The girl's eyes widened in fear, the darkness within her swirling violently. Marco, it won't just take you. It will destroy us both. Clenching his teeth, he steadied himself and prepared to swing the branch. He had to fight, if not for himself, then for her. I will not become a puppet of this forest. A surge of energy shot through the air, and it felt like the very ground was bending to the will of the Aswang. Marco sensed the weight of fate pressing down on him, every second stretching painfully as the laughter of the Aswang became a storm around them. You want to battle destiny? Then come. Let us see what the blood of the ancients truly holds. As the shadows lashed out, ready to engulf him, Marco's heart pounded in time with the shadows, a desperate rhythm that accompanied his every thought. Would he break this curse, or would he succumb to the legacy he never wanted? The branches loomed before him like grasping fingers, but he couldn't yield. He wouldn't then. A sound filled the air, something beyond the laughter and the growling. A desperate song that struck him with both fear and hope. It wasn't just the Aswang or the forest that was lost. There was more to this haunting melody. What or who was singing, and could it really help them? With no other choice left and every second ticking by, Marco took a breath and plunged into the darkness. Marco plunged forward, driven by instinct and desperation. As he stepped into the shadowy mass, the chilling laughter of the Aswang faded momentarily, replaced by the haunting melody that resonated through the darkness. It wrapped around him like a shroud, each note pulling at the edges of his sanity. Who is singing? Marco shouted, the words almost caught in his throat. He fought to focus his eyes, scanning the gloom for a sign of the source. The girl's silhouette flickered at the edges of his vision. Her presence felt both near and far, the essence of her humanity barely surviving within the tendrils of darkness. Marco! She cried, her voice cracking under the weight of despair. You shouldn't be here. It will eat you alive. No, he roared back, defiance igniting within him. I won't let it take you. He pushed deeper into the night, heart racing, fueled by the urgency to reach her before the shadows claimed her completely. The melody grew louder, morphing into a crescendo that seemed to pulse with a heartbeat. Stay close. He called out, trying to anchor his voice in the storm of confusion that swirled around them. In a sudden flash of moonlight, he glimpsed her. The girl was partially obscured, reaching out as if to grasp the fleeting remnants of herself. Marco sprinted toward her, dodging the dark forms that swiped at him from all sides. Each brush against his skin cold and electric, like fingers of ice. He lunged forward, arms outstretched. Just as his fingers grazed hers, the shadows surged, fierce and insatiable. The forest vibrated with an unnatural energy, the wind shrieking and whipping around them like a banshee's wail. The Aswang's voice echoed again, venomous and gleeful. You think love can save you? This power is beyond your comprehension. Suddenly, as if in direct response, the melody reached an ethereal pitch that resonated within Marco's very bones. It wasn't merely a song. It felt like a promise, bright and powerful, echoing through the dark, threatening to erase the shadows. That voice, its help? He breathed, hope flickering amidst the nightmare. With a newfound determination, Marco yelled, "We can break free. Fight with me." His voice broke the darkness around them, serving as a beacon. The girl's eyes flickered again, dark pools of uncertainty lit by the faint gleam of recognition. "Marco," she murmured, and something shifted deep within her. "Remember who you are," he shouted, feeling every ounce of despair and determination swell in his chest. He could sense the shadows recoiling for just a moment, and he seized it. "You are not what it says you are. We are stronger together." The Aswang screamed in furious protest. "No, I won't allow it." In an almost superhuman effort, Marco twisted his body, using the branch like a staff against the encroaching darkness. Each swing fueled by the strength of pure desperation. The shadows hissed as he connected with them, their smoky form dissipating wherever the wood made contact. With a shattering burst, the haunting melody crescendoed, lifting the veil of darkness slightly. There within the haze he saw shapes begin to weave together, figures of those lost to the Aswang, their faces worn but illuminated by the song that spoke of liberation. "Marco, I feel it," the girl cried as a spark ignited within her, illuminating her spirit as she fought back against the shadows ensnaring her. "I won't let it take me." But the Aswang, furious and defiant, unleashed a vortex of fury. The shadows converged, swirling violently around them, each moment thickening with dread. "Draw on the song. It's our only way," Marco urged, holding her gaze steady. And just as hope lit the path ahead, a heart-stopping realization gripped him. The price of their freedom would not be without sacrifice, and darkness hungered for blood. They were on the brink of something unfathomable, teetering between light and shadows. Would they embrace their destiny together or become intertwined with the darkness forever? As the storm of shadows rushed toward them, Marco tightened his grip on the branch, ready for the clash that lay ahead. The truth of the Aswang was just a breath away, but what would it demand from them? The darkness roared, a tempest of malice charging at Marco and the girl. The Aswang's presence loomed like a nightmare made real, but Marco refused to yield. With every swing of the branch, he felt the energy of the ancient melody surging through him, empowering his strikes as shadows writhed and hissed in rebellion against the light emerging from within them. "Remember who you are," he bellowed, forcing every ounce of conviction behind his words, not just for himself but for her too. The girl stood resolute beside him, her spirit igniting within the mask of darkness, flickers of her true essence beginning to break free. Each note of that mystical song rose in intensity, blending with their determination as it clawed away at the shadows that had ensnared her. A specter of liberation hovered on the fringes, and Marco sensed it, an untapped strength seated in both of them, waiting for release. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled, screeching like banshees as Marco struck true. The energy of the forest pulsed alongside him, reminding him of its history, its secrets, and the connection that bound him to it. "We are of this earth," he called out defiantly. "We're more powerful than your darkness." The Aswang's voice twisted in frustration, words dripping with venom. "You think you can reshape your fate? You're a fool. You don't even know the depths of your heritage." "Then tell me," Marco shouted, refusing to step back, his heart racing. "What does it mean to be a part of this forest? What do you want?" For a split second the laughter faltered. She was merely a girl lost in shadows, but she was also a beacon of hope, his hope. And with that glimmer of truth he pushed forward, swinging wildly against the mass of darkness, breaking through as the melody soared to its climactic peak. "Fight it. We have power within us." The forest hummed, vibrations coursing through him like an electric current, connecting him and the girl to those who had battled before, ancestors long since vanished but still whispering courage into the very roots of the ground. With one last resounding swing, Marco struck the heart of the swirl of shadows, and suddenly light split through the darkness like a bolt of lightning, illuminating every corner of the night. Sebastian gasped as the harmony overflowed, flooding them both with energy, filling them with every ounce of strength they possessed. "Marco, it's beautiful," the girl exclaimed. The light appeared as figures of the departed danced around them, illuminating the glade with a fierce brightness. They weren't just shadows anymore. They were guardians fighting alongside them against the Aswang. The creature shrieked, its malevolence tangling with despair as it retreated. "You may win this battle, but darkness is eternal. Know that I will be back for you." It spat through gritted teeth, the shadows spiraling back into the woods, dissolving under the cleansing light as the resonating song faded. Marco felt the warmth of daybreak creeping through the trees. The first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, chasing away the night's horrors. They were free. Marco, the girl began, her trembling figure now glowing with certainty. I didn't know I could fight. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for fighting, he replied, a smile breaking through. They stood together, where shadows had once swallowed them whole. None of this would be worked without you. As they began to walk toward the village, Marco glanced back at the woods. They were still peaceful, but he felt the weight of the forest's mystery hanging in the air. What will happen now? The girl asked hesitantly. Now we rebuild. We share our story, warn others, and keep searching for understanding, Marco said, determination shaping his voice. Though the Aswang may have retreated, he knew this connection to the forest would guide them toward uncovering more truths, and as they approached the village, where the first signs of day were beginning to stir, Marco turned his gaze to the horizon. The future held uncertainty, but together, they resonated with an unwavering resolve. A new chapter in their lives awaited. They had survived the darkness. They would thrive in the light. Come on, Marco said, a firm enthusiasm stirring. Let us go tell everyone we've faced the Aswang and we won. As they walked into the village, sunlight pouring warmth onto their backs, they felt the weight of their shared fears lifting, opening the door to bravery not just for them but for everyone who had feared the shadows looming in their pasts. You must subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear your reactions and theories about this incredible conclusion, so please flood the comments section. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference. Come on, let us keep our community growing.